This is the Astros Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Houston Astros, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Nothing in life lasts forever, and that includes a golden era of baseball that has come to an end for the Houston Astros, as this game tonight did not even matter. They were eliminated from postseason contention before the game even started tonight. And I'm going to be completely honest with you, as we get into this postcast, we are not going to talk much about this game tonight because, well, it did not matter. Hello and welcome to the Locked On Astros Postcast. Tonight, I am your host, Michael Connor. Thank you for joining us here. After the win, I was going to say loss. I'm so locked into the Astros losing lately. The win tonight over the Los Angeles Angels. Hadn't been able to say that a lot lately. They get a win when they don't need it more than anything else. That is typical Astros fashion. Now 86-75 on the season. Tonight's episode of the Locked On Astros Postcast brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. So, first of all, again, welcome to the show tonight. Thank you for stopping by. If you're new to this show, make sure that you come back tomorrow. It'll be our last one of the season. We won't be back until the season gets going. Of course, this channel where you are watching it or wherever you're listening to it, which is free, by the way. If you want to find this show in its podcast form, Locked On Astros is what you search. You get this show and the regular daily show hosted by Brett and Eric. They'll have, of course, their thoughts on the season coming to an end as well, I'm sure. But again, this show will be done after tomorrow until they get started again late March of 2026, where hopefully we'll have a lot better things to talk about. I kind of want to take a different start to it because we're going to be able to get, like we got today, we got tomorrow. I kind of dive into a little bit more of the offseason ahead tomorrow. I want to kind of go back tonight, relive a little bit of the season tonight. I think the reasons why we are at this point as Astros fans watching this team, not playing October for the first time since 2016. So where to start, I think, or I guess, no, I don't even really have anything like what you'll be talking about. What you'll be talking about is, of course, that the Astros will be at home in October. And, first of all, I want to say that I think that I try to, in these moments, this is a bad moment, right? This one sucked. This is a rough season to watch. It's a rough season. They could still end up winning 87 games, 3 shy of 90, and missing the postseason. Like, I try to live in the I'm mad as you know what, like everybody else, because I, like you, did not want to see it end. That doesn't mean that the era has to be completely over, but it has to be re-envisioned. It has to be retooled, and there has to be a lot of things done if you want to extend it out even more. To get right back there next season is going to take a lot of effort in a lot of areas to make this team good enough to do that. The simple facts at the end of the day this season was that they were not good enough, and they were not able to overcome a lot of the bad stuff that happened to them. But I do want to take a moment before we get into all that to just remember here for a second. And yeah, you could sit here and say I'm putting, butterflies and rainbows and all that. I just want to appreciate what we watched for the last 8 seasons of going to the postseason. And what was it, 9 out of 10 or whatever. It is an incredible run. It is so difficult to have that level of sustained success overall that they had. There were errors made along the way that shortened the window for it without a doubt. But they've won 2 World Series championships in the last decade. They've been to 4. They played for the World Series in all the years that they basically were in the postseason at the minimum outside of 2024 and 2015 when this started. It's been one hell of a run. It has been awesome. And I've loved so many great memories. It's when you get to this stage that it gets so hard to accept. It's not the same. This isn't the same that it even was think about this. In 2023, this team was 1 win away from the World Series. In 2023, it was just 2 years ago. Just 2 years ago, they were 1 win from the World Series again. And here you are, they're out of it 2 years later. It can happen quickly. Now, To put the perspective on it, why you got here, first of all, not good enough. But you had Yordan Alvarez, who ended up missing 100 games in the season, something around there. Need to pull up his exact number. Should have done that before the show. My apologies to those of you live, even those of you listening. The Astros got a whopping not more than 100 games. They got 48 games out of Yordan Alvarez this year. They had a period of time where Jeremy Pena broke a rib and was out for a significant period of time. An all-star, one of the best shortstops in the game this year. I mean, their bona fide best player this season, out for a lengthy period of time. Came back, and then, of course, right at the end when they need him, gets hurt again. They had a very productive player, a very stable force in their lineup, and Isaac Paredes missed months with a hamstring. And credit to him for going out there and gutting it out and coming back. Because you know he's not healthy. I know he's not. Everybody knows he's not healthy. They lost Josh Hader, their all-star closer, who was nails for 2 months. Never came back. They had, I think, 3 pitchers? How many pitchers did they have up? Three. I think it was 3 starters. Had Tommy John. They've got another one getting ready to have it again. They had bullpen arms fall apart as well. Like, it is, when you talk about everything that can go wrong in a season, health-wise, they literally experienced it in 2025. There is no denying that. And it is commendable to look up and be able to say, with all of that happened, they're going to end up, they win tomorrow, 87 wins or 86. It's not horrible. But here's the problem. When I talk about the era and where they've been, for you and I, the expectation, the bar is way up here every year. Because here's the thing. You can be a postseason team basically every year in baseball. You want to know how? Spend. And the Astros do spend. Now, I'm going to talk a little about the spending here. But they have consistently been a top 10 payroll. That's why they have been able to win at the level that they do. It's why the Yankees haven't had a losing season since God knows when. I mean, it's been a long time. They make the postseason almost every year. It's very rare for them to miss it, too. They missed it in, 2023? But very rare. The teams with the green that spin the green can win consistently. Doesn't always guarantee it, but you can do it. You can absolutely do it. You also have to develop. It's a big reason why we're here today. But it's almost impossible to overcome all of that and expect it to be the same this year. My hope, like a lot of you, I'm sure, is that this is a wake-up call to a lot of people. This is a wake-up call, more than anybody, to the owner, that things have to change a little bit, because you tell us all the time that, yes, the window's always open, and I appreciate that. I appreciate everything that he's done for this franchise. He has been an incredible owner compared to the owner that we were coming off of before that. He is a good owner. If you want to truly be a team that comes back next year and is, instead of sitting here on September the 27th of next year talking about the offseason that's ahead, you're preparing for an October run. It's a weird feeling, man. Weird feeling. Let's talk about what has to change. Will there be changes made in key areas as well? Talk about it here in a brief moment. Locked On Astros Postcast. All right, before we get back to that discussion, I want to tell you guys first off about Rougiette. Have you heard about it? Well, I'm sure you have. What do you get? Well, guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to go ahead and meet Rougiette Go Long. It's exactly where Rougiette Go Long comes in. This isn't just an ED pill. It's a total game changer for your confidence. Go Long, well, it combines 2 doctor-trusted medications in one dual-action formula, so you can get hard and go the distance. Ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom? Go to Rougiette.com and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for 15% off your first order. That's RUGIET.com, promo code Locked on MLB, RUGIET.com. Make sure you use our code to let them know that we sent you. Up next, before we get back to our discussion tonight, the Astros season, it's not officially over, but it's over. NFL season's here. That's always fun, even if the football team here in Houston is not very good right now. But the NFL is back, and FanDuel is making sure that you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, it's easy. It's the best way to add a little more energy to your Sunday. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Astros actually win tonight, but lose because the Guardians walked off the Rangers. I think it was a walk-off hit by pitch. I didn't even bother looking at it because it just made me too angry. Can't count on the Rangers for anything, can you? No, you can't. But the Astros will not go to the postseason in 2026. There is no chance of that happening. It stinks. It absolutely stinks. So the question becomes, we're going to take a closer look into it tomorrow in terms of players and, guys that could be out there in terms of acquisitions and whatnot. Here's what I will say. Overall, the overall big picture for the Astros. The story remains the same for this franchise and where they're at. They are a team with a vastly depleted farm system. There are no real, true, awesome prospects. They don't exist in this farm system. There's guys that are intriguing, like Zach Cole comes up, got something intriguing there. Blue Ball has been a guy that's pitched pretty well and is going to have to get a chance in spring training to crack this staff in some sort of fashion. But they don't have stud prospects. They haven't for a long time. They've traded away a lot of them. So I mentioned Jim Crane. And Jim Crane always talks about the window is never going to close. The window is always open. And like I said, I absolutely appreciate that. He has been a wonderful owner. He has spent money. Has he always spent it the way I want him to spend? No. Is he risk adverse when it comes to long-term contracts? Absolutely. I think it's a little bit silly sometimes. And I do think that at times you have to break from your mold. And he should have broken that a while ago with certain players and keeping them around. He doesn't have any of those glaring players now that he has to go out and, get locked up here and there. What he has is a roster of misfit toys in some areas. He's going to lose a starting pitcher, which fine, be gone, whatever, for more than anything for my sanity, so I don't have to sit here and listen to people, constantly fight about Framber Valdez. But he's gone. They are going to absolutely 1,000% going to have to go out there and spend money on the rotation, though. They have to sign at least one significant starter to add to this rotation. And then they have to add multiple arms for depth. You'll return a rotation with Hunter Brown, which you should, even though he went to Scott Boras, you should be doing all the investigative work and all the trying that you can to get him locked into a long-term deal. And again, breaking the mold of what you do, because it'll be another player that just walks out the door for absolutely nothing. You need to do that. You got to add a couple of arms at minimum to that rotation. Like I said, you have to add depth to it. The bullpen absolutely has to be reworked. That's something that's very capable of doing every offseason. You can sign multiple relievers. I'm not concerned about doing it. You just got to pick the right ones. In terms of the lineup, here's what you know. I don't know that Yainer Diaz is the everyday answer at catcher. I don't think that he's good at all behind the plate defensively. I don't think that he gives off the vibe of a real leader behind the plate. Still young, still has a chance to mold into that. He always has some upside hitting, but it has been a big disappointment of a season. Victor Caratini is a free agent. I think that they need to put a priority on keeping him. First base was a black hole this year once again. Christian Walker hits a couple more home runs tonight. He's got 27 on the year, but he hit a lot of meaningless ones. Look, overall, we're going to look at that contract when it's done and say that was a waste. total waste again. They're really bad at signing first baseman. What do you do at the second base position? I think you're going to have to punt it, and you're going to absolutely have to play Jose Altuve there more than you want to moving forward. Because he can't, unfortunately, DH every day. And you can't always, unless you can guarantee that you're going to play him in left field all the time, I don't know. You're not going to convince me for 1 second that Isaac Paredes is going to be a second baseman and be competent at it. I'm going to be blunt and honest, he's fat and out of shape. He doesn't move like a middle infielder. He was a below average third baseman. Good hands, bad range. He's not playing second base. He's not going to DH because you got to DH Jordan. You got to DH Jose Altuve. You got Carlos Correa back at third base. Locked in. Feel great about that. You got Jeremy Pena at shortstop. Locked in. Feel great about that. Outfield, I'm sure Zach Cole's going to get a crack at this thing. Cam Smith, it's going to be a big year too in terms of is he going to make it or is he going to be one of those guys that just never lives up to the complete hype and was maybe rushed. Jake Myers had a really nice year this year. But here's the thing. I say all these things about all these guys. You can't run back the same team next year and expect a different result because this year's version was not good enough. So some hard decisions somewhere are going to have to be made. Isaac Paredes is probably going to have some trade value. That's a player that you're probably going to have to market to see if you can trade. Get, to help the team somewhere else. Maybe a Jake Myers is attractive to a team. It helps you move something to get something else. But the number one fix for all of this, the number one, is you're going to have to get outside your comfort zone and you're going to have to spend some serious money on maybe some free agents. Now, it can't be 34-year-old first baseman. You got to stay away from those. But they're going to have to do something. We'll talk about Joe Espada. We'll talk about the coaching staff tomorrow after the game. I don't think that there's, I don't know. I go back and forth on where it's going to be in terms of, is there going to be changes there? I don't think there will be, but I don't know. You can't ever be certain with these things. If it was me, the biggest picture that I'm looking at is, and I've said it, I've been bluntly honest with it in my evaluation for me since he's been here. I don't think Dana Brown is a good general manager. I don't. I think he's a scout that has always been a scout and should probably still be in the scouting department somewhere. He came in, he said all these things about signing this guy, all these guys left and right, whatever. Nothing's happened really. Signed one. Eventually got hurt. Thought he had a good trade deadline that actually ended up being a bad trade deadline because Arias and Sanchez basically contributed nothing to this team. It was just Correa. Correa was the only player who contributed anything. And you know that was not a Dana Brown move. That was a Jim Crane move. So a lot of self-reflection has to happen. What I do know is that in 2026, if you run out the same team that you ran out this year, we will be having the same conversation again next season. I can guarantee you that. Tomorrow when the game wraps up, we'll take a bigger picture look at it. I'm going to do a little bit of homework. I'm going to get some names for you, some things that I'd like to see happen, and we'll talk it all out after the final game of the season. That will end, hopefully, with a win. You guys have a great rest of your Saturday night. We'll talk to you after game 162 in the Locked On Astros.